Have you ever sat alone in your quiet kitchen, maybe with a cup of coffee in hand, and wondered how things ended up this way? You raised them. You fed them, loved them, stayed up all night worrying about them, and then, one day, they left. Sometimes with a hug and a promise to call more often, and sometimes without a word, just distance. Emotional, physical, or both. And when they left, it left a hole, a silence, a kind of ache that only a mother knows. And now, maybe years later, they're back. Or at least, they're texting more, calling again. Maybe they want to stop by. Maybe they want to come home. And while part of your heart wants to throw open your arms and say, "I've waited for this," another part whispers, "Why now?" You're not alone in feeling that mix of hope and hesitation. For many women in their 60s and beyond, the journey of motherhood doesn't end. It just changes shape. And sometimes, it changes in ways you never saw coming. So today, I want to have a real conversation with you. Not about how to be a perfect mom or how to fix everything that went wrong, but about how to be you, a woman who has lived, who has loved, and who deserves peace and clarity, even when the past knocks at your door again in the form of your grown children. When kids come back after distance, whether emotional, physical, or both, it's not just about them. It's also about you, how you feel, what you've learned in their absence, what boundaries you deserve, and most importantly, how you want to live the rest of your life. Let's take a moment and look at what might really be happening when they return. Sometimes it feels like a miracle, like something you hoped for finally came true. But behind that return can be a whole web of emotions on their side and yours. They might be coming back because they miss you, or because life has humbled them, or because they need something they can't get anywhere else. Love, security, forgiveness, maybe even money or a place to stay. But not every return means they've changed. And not every return means you have to go back to who you were before they left. So before you rush to rearrange your life, give away your peace, or carry the weight again, let's talk about what's really going on and what you can do from a place of strength, self-love, and wisdom. First, understand this. When children come back after walking away or drifting off, it usually happens after they've hit some kind of emotional or life wall. They may not say it outright, but something likely didn't go the way they planned. A relationship failed. A job fell apart. A friendship dried up. Suddenly, the parent they took for granted becomes the person they want to hear from again. This doesn't mean they're using you. It doesn't mean they don't care. But it does mean you need to pay attention to why they're back and how they show up this time. And here's the truth. Many women don't say out loud, the return of your child can reopen wounds. Maybe old arguments come rushing back. Maybe you remember all the birthdays they missed, the cold shoulder they gave you when you needed warmth, or the way they rolled their eyes at your worries. That pain is real. It's okay to feel it. You don't have to shove it down just because someone is knocking on your door again with a smile. When your child returns, this is your moment to be emotionally honest, with them and with yourself. Now, does that mean you greet them with anger or resentment? Not at all. It means you breathe. You listen. You observe. You don't have to decide everything in one day. Let them show you who they are now, not who you hope they've become. Watch how they speak to you, how they respond when you say no, how they respect your space, your time, your heart. It's easy to want to jump back into the role of caretaker. Many of us were raised to believe that motherhood is forever giving, even when we're empty. But I'm here to tell you, it's not selfish to protect your peace. It's wise. You've lived a lot of life. You've probably sacrificed more than people know. And if they've come back into your life, this is your chance to do something different. Not colder, not meaner, but wiser. And being wise means you don't need to rush. You don't have to answer every call. You don't have to rearrange your week because they want to drop by. You don't have to pretend the past didn't happen. Because if you're going to let someone back into your space, especially someone you love deeply, you have every right to ask, what has changed? Have they grown? Are they here because they want to build something better? Or are they simply here because it's convenient? Now that might sound harsh, but it's not. It's loving. Because true love, especially at this age, isn't about throwing yourself away. It's about building something that respects both people, their needs, their boundaries, and their healing. Some of us are taught that being a mother means always saying yes. But the truth is, sometimes the most loving thing you can say is, let's take this slow. Or even, I'm not ready to open that door yet. And that's okay. Here's a little story. A woman I spoke with last year had a daughter who hadn't called in over 5 years. Not a holiday. Not a birthday. Then one day, out of the blue, she received a text. Hey Mom, can we talk? Her heart nearly stopped. The years of silence, the unanswered letters, the heartache, it all came flooding back. But instead of answering right away, she waited. She took a walk. She sat in her garden. She asked herself not what her heart wanted, but what her soul needed. When she did call back, she didn't pretend nothing had happened. She simply said, I'm open to talking, but I need honesty. And I need consistency. That was the start of a new relationship. Not a perfect one, but a real one. And that's what you deserve. So if you find yourself in that position, if the phone rings or a knock comes at the door or the message pops up on your screen, take a breath. Smile if you want to. Cry if you need to. But know this, you're not obligated to go backwards. You are allowed to love someone and still ask them to earn their place again. You are allowed to say, I'm happy to hear from you, but let's take things one day at a time. You are allowed to be proud of how far you've come while still being curious about what could come next. And you're certainly allowed to create a relationship that honors you, not just them. Because motherhood doesn't mean martyrdom. It means love. And real love includes truth, time, and trust rebuilt slowly. So if your child has come back, or one day they do, know that this can be a new beginning. Not because you erase the past, but because you've grown strong enough to build from it. Let's talk about what happens next, how you respond, how you carry yourself, and how to protect the peace you've fought so hard to earn. So here you are, face to face, maybe over the phone, or maybe sitting across from them at the kitchen table they once left behind. The question now isn't just about how they came back. It's about how you respond. And believe me, how you respond sets the tone for everything that comes next. Let's start with something simple but powerful. You do not need to give instant access to your life, your emotions, or your energy. It may feel natural, even automatic, to want to open your arms and say, come in, take your place again. But here's the truth. You're not the same woman you were before. You've grown, you've healed, and maybe in their absence, you've found a version of yourself that's calmer, wiser, even a little more at peace. And now you get to protect that peace. There's a reason we call it earned trust. Trust isn't handed out like candy. It's built, tested, and earned step by step. You have every right to let them back into your life slowly. You're not punishing them. You're teaching them how to be in your world again, with respect, with patience, and with presence. So when the first real conversation happens, and it will, it's not about small talk. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about tone, yours. You get to lead with calm. You get to listen more than you speak. You get to decide what's discussed and what's not. There's a power in stillness, in grace, in being grounded. That power often says more than any speech. Let your words be few, but your message be clear. This is who I am now. And you don't get to walk in like nothing happened. That might feel strange at first. You've probably spent a lifetime giving, explaining, fixing, smoothing things over. But this moment? This is your time to simply be, not to fix, not to convince, just to observe. How are they showing up? Are they showing genuine effort or just popping in out of convenience? Are they curious about your life now, or are they only focused on their own needs? You don't need to answer right away. You don't need to decide everything in one afternoon. In fact, the longer you sit with their presence before giving them full access again, the more clearly you'll see what's real. Sometimes silence is a gift. Not the kind that shuts people out, but the kind that gives space for both of you to see what's actually there. And while you're sitting in that space, I want you to remember something crucial. You're allowed to keep your options open. Let's talk about that. Because when our children return, especially after years of distance or disappointment, it's tempting to shut the rest of the world out, to put them right back in the center of your attention. But don't forget, your life didn't stop when they left. You built something. Maybe it was a daily routine, a quiet joy in your garden, a close friendship with a neighbor. Maybe you finally had time to paint, read, or just breathe. Don't give that up so quickly. You don't owe anyone, even your children, your entire emotional bandwidth, especially if they haven't shown they're ready to nurture and respect your peace. Keeping your options open doesn't mean you don't love them. It means you're not abandoning yourself in the process of loving them. If you've been enjoying lunch with a friend every Friday, keep that plan. If you've been part of a book club or volunteering or just walking every morning to clear your mind, hold on to those habits. Don't trade them in for the illusion of urgency. Because here's the truth. If they truly want to reconnect with you, they will meet you in your world, not just pull you into theirs. Let them see you living. Let them see you strong. Let them see that you have your own rhythm now, and that if they want to be part of it, they're going to have to show up with consistency, respect, and real care. And that brings us to something that's often the hardest to do when you've longed for reconnection, making them re-earn your trust. That might sound too strong, but it's not. It's actually the most loving thing you can do for both of you. Because if you pretend nothing happened, if you act like the distance or the hurt or the silence didn't matter, you rob them of the chance to grow. You rob yourself of the right to heal honestly. Re-earning trust doesn't require big apologies or grand gestures. It requires something quieter, more difficult: consistency. It means showing up when they say they will. Listening, not just speaking. Caring, not just needing. Respecting your boundaries, even when it's inconvenient. And you get to watch for those things. Not with suspicion, but with wisdom. You can love your child deeply and still say, let's take it one step at a time. You can welcome them with warmth and still have healthy boundaries. You can forgive without forgetting. That doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. It tells them you're not bitter, but you are awake. Sometimes, the most powerful kind of love is the kind that says, if you want to be close again, I'm here, but I need to see the same effort from you that I gave for years. Let them put in the work. Let them show you who they are now. And let them know that you're no longer the woman who silently takes everything just to keep the peace. Because here's the thing. If they're serious about being in your life again, they will understand. They will listen. And if they can't do that, then perhaps they're not ready. And that's not your failure. That's their journey. And one more thing, something we don't talk about enough. Do not go back to the old version of yourself. That version that bent over backwards, that stayed silent when something hurt, that waited by the phone or lost sleep wondering what you did wrong. That woman was loving. She was patient. She gave everything. But she was also tired. And she deserves better. This new version of you, the one who has come through grief, maybe loneliness, maybe years of questioning and waiting, she is strong. She is wise. And she's allowed to live for herself now, even as she stays open to love. So when your kids come back, greet them as this woman. Let them meet the version of you who has learned to love herself, not just everyone else. Let them see that your world doesn't revolve around their presence anymore, but that their presence is still welcome when it comes with respect and care. You are not here to be used, to be drained, or to be taken for granted. You are here to be seen, heard, and valued for all that you are. And if they can't offer that yet, that's okay. You're still whole. You're still good. You're still enough. You've earned that peace. You've earned that clarity. And no matter who walks in or out of your life, you never have to give it away again. One of the most liberating truths you'll ever embrace is this: you don't have to go back to who you used to be just because someone from your past wants you to. That includes your children. You see, time apart doesn't just change them, it changes you. And if you've done the emotional work, if you've picked yourself up after being hurt, if you've rebuilt your days around peace and purpose, then what they're walking into now is not the same old version of you they once knew. And that's a good thing. Because let's be honest, the old you, the one who might have said yes to everything even when her heart said no, the one who quietly let things slide for the sake of family harmony, the one who ignored her own needs because she thought love was sacrifice. That woman was loving, yes, but she also carried a lot of weight that wasn't hers to carry. And she doesn't need to come back. When your kids return, there might be moments where they unconsciously expect you to slip back into old patterns. They may still see you as Mom, the fixer. Mom, the soft place to land. Mom, who'll always be there. But here's your quiet strength. Let them see Mom, the whole woman. A woman with her own values, her own peace, her own sense of what's right and wrong. You don't have to explain that with speeches. You don't have to defend it. You simply live it. That means you get to say, I don't do guilt trips anymore. You get to say, I'm not available to fix everything. You get to say, my time and energy are just as important as yours. And you say it with warmth, not anger, but with a firmness that makes it clear you now understand your worth. Because here's something powerful to remember. Your job isn't to keep everyone happy. Your job is to live truthfully. And sometimes truth means holding space without rescuing. It means loving without losing yourself. It also means letting your children experience the natural consequences of their choices. That's not being cold. That's honoring their adulthood. And it's also honoring your wisdom. Think of it this way. Just because someone realizes they want to come back into your life doesn't mean they get to skip the process of rebuilding trust and connection. You wouldn't let a neighbor barge in and take over your home. Why should emotional space be any different? This doesn't mean you shut people out. Quite the opposite. It means you allow them back in through a door that opens slowly, mindfully, with care. Not from fear, not from guilt, but from strength. And strength in this stage of life isn't about being tough or guarded. It's about being so rooted in who you are that you can welcome others without losing yourself in the process. One of the best gifts you can give yourself now is the permission to move forward even if the relationship doesn't look the way you imagined. Maybe they're back, but they're still distant. Maybe they're warm one week and cold the next. Maybe they want to be close, but they haven't quite figured out how to apologize, or take responsibility, or treat you with the kind of respect you deserve. It's okay to acknowledge the mess. Life is messy. Family is messy. But your response doesn't have to be. You can be steady. You can say, I'm open, but I need honesty. Or, I love you, but I also love myself now. Or simply, we can move forward, but we're not pretending the past didn't happen. You've lived long enough to know that love without truth never lasts. And truth, even when it's quiet, has a way of healing what pretending never can. And I want to pause here and remind you of something especially important. Your worth is not tied to who stays or who leaves. Your value is not measured by how many phone calls you get or how many times someone says, I love you. Your value is in the life you've built, the resilience you've shown, and the grace you carry even when your heart has been tested. If your kids come back and rebuild a deeper relationship with you, beautiful. But if they struggle or slip or stay distant despite your openness, that is not a reflection of your failure. That is their journey to walk. You've done your part. You've shown up. And now you're showing up for yourself too. So what does that look like day to day? It looks like waking up and doing the things that bring you joy, your walks, your reading, your coffee on the porch. It looks like continuing to nourish your body and mind, to care for your friendships, to laugh at silly things and watch sunsets and try new recipes just because you can. It looks like being open to connection, but not at the cost of your peace. And most of all, it looks like believing this truth. It's never too late to be deeply respected. It's never too late to be seen, not just as mom, but as a woman with thoughts, dreams, and boundaries. Let your kids rediscover you. Let them see the depth you've gained, the clarity you now live with. Let them earn their place in your new life, not because you're punishing them, but because real love grows where mutual respect lives. And if they truly love you, and most of them do, even when they don't know how to show it, they'll rise to the occasion. They'll meet you where you are. They'll try. Maybe slowly, maybe clumsily, but they'll try. And in that trying, you'll find something richer than the past. You'll find a new kind of connection, one that isn't based on duty or guilt or old patterns, one that's based on two people, parent and adult child, choosing to meet each other with truth, with care, and with space to grow. That's the kind of relationship worth having. That's the kind of love that lasts. So today, as you sit with your memories and your hopes and perhaps even a little ache in your chest, know this: you are not defined by who walked away. You are defined by how you kept walking, with grace, with strength, and with an open heart. And whether your child stays, leaves again, or returns 100 times, you are steady. You are wise. And you are whole. Because at this stage of life, we don't chase relationships. We cultivate them with honesty, with peace, and with the quiet confidence that says, I am still here and I am still becoming. There's something incredibly beautiful about living long enough to see the story come full circle. You've raised your children. You've wiped their tears, packed their lunches, waited up when they missed curfew, and maybe stayed quiet when your heart was breaking. And then, at some point, they pulled away. Maybe life got busy. Maybe things got complicated. Maybe words were said that cut deep. And for a while, they were just gone. And now they're back. It might not be with an apology. It might not come with all the explanations or healing words you once prayed for. Sometimes it's a simple text. Sometimes it's a visit during the holidays. Sometimes it's a tentative step back into your life, like they're testing the water, unsure of how deep they're allowed to go. Whatever form it takes, it can stir up a quiet storm inside you. Hope, pain, relief, worry, that longing to feel close again, that fear of being hurt all over, that voice inside whispering, what if nothing's really changed? And yet, here you are, still standing, still open, still strong. You've done more than survive their absence. You've grown through it. And now, more than ever, you get to choose what love looks like in your life. Not just for them, but for you. Maybe you've realized that love doesn't always look like daily phone calls or picture-perfect reunions. Sometimes it looks like healthy boundaries. Sometimes it looks like silence when you used to fill the air with words. Sometimes it looks like saying, I love you, not with desperation, but with dignity. And if your child is back in your life now, no matter how close or distant the relationship still feels, know this: you are allowed to show up in a way that honors everything you've learned. Let them see you as someone who no longer operates from fear. Someone who no longer gives until she's empty. Someone who doesn't ask for love but expects respect. That's not pride. That's wisdom. Because you're not just teaching them how to treat you, you're showing them how to honor themselves too. You're modeling what it means to have a life of your own, to grow even in grief, to find meaning after loss, and to rise after being let down. And if they're paying attention, they'll see the strength in that. And maybe, just maybe, they'll rise with you. Now, this doesn't mean everything will suddenly feel perfect. Sometimes, your child's return will be a soft re-entry that slowly blossoms into a deeper relationship. Other times, it may stay on the surface. A few texts here and there, polite conversations, guarded emotions. And that's okay too. You are not failing because your connection isn't everything you dreamed. You are not unworthy because they can't show up the way you hoped. You are not too much or too little just because someone else struggles with closeness. You are a full woman, a full life, and you are already whole, no matter who comes or goes. So what do you do now? You keep living. You wake up in the morning, stretch, and thank your body for carrying you this far. You open the curtains and let the sun kiss your skin. You go on that walk. You call that friend. You cook something you love. You say no when your heart says no, and yes when you truly mean it. And when your children do come by or call or write, be present. Be open. But let them feel the quiet boundaries you've set. Let them meet the woman you've become. You don't have to be cold. You don't have to be hard. But you also don't have to disappear into their needs again. Not now. Not anymore. You can love deeply and still protect yourself. You can forgive and still require effort. You can be soft and still be strong. And when the doubts creep in, because they sometimes will, I want you to hear this in your heart. Just because someone walked away doesn't mean they didn't love you. And just because they came back doesn't mean everything will be the same. But what you do have control over is how you carry yourself in this new season. Let your life be guided by peace now, not fear of losing people, not guilt over what you could have done better, not shame over moments of anger or pain. Peace. Let your life reflect your freedom. Freedom to choose who you let in. Freedom to speak your truth. Freedom to take up space in your own home, in your own heart, and in this world. You didn't wait around. You lived. And now, if someone wants to walk beside you, they'll have to walk with you, not ahead of you, not dragging you backward, but with you, side by side. So if your child is back in your life, let it be a new chapter, not a repeat of the old one. Let it be slower, wiser, more real. Let it be honest. And let it honor the woman you are today. Because no matter what's happened, what's been said, what's been silent, you're still worthy of love that shows up, love that stays, love that respects. And if no one has told you this lately, let me be the one to say it. You've done enough. You are enough. And you are still deserving of connection, peace, and joy, every single day. If this spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have your children ever returned after distance? What did you feel? How did you respond? What have you learned about yourself through it all? Share your story, because your voice matters here. You never know who might be comforted by your truth. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel, Strong Elderly Life. We're building a space for women just like you, women with experience, courage, and hearts full of wisdom, who are still learning, still growing, and still deserving of everything good. Here's to living your truth, to protecting your peace, and to never, ever going back to the version of you that forgot how powerful she really is. Stay strong, beautiful soul. You're doing better than you think.